I am the sister of Leroy Blanding Jr. Leroy Blanding Jr. Was living in Florida, Daytona Beach, Florida. When he flew from Daytona Beach, Florida to Greensboro, North Carolina. In Greensboro, North Carolina, he was arrested, and they found out that he had a warrant for his arrest in Sumter, South Carolina.
And this is how long ago?
This was about 20 years ago. So this is about 20 years ago. So when he got arrested, they found out that he had a warrant. So they picked up two officers. They got two officers to transport him from Greensboro, North Carolina to Sumter, South Carolina. Before he left Greensboro, North Carolina, he called his fiance at the time and said, hey, I'm leaving. They have me tied up like a dog. I'll call you when I get there. And that was the last time we heard from Leroy Blanding Jr.
And at this time, he was how old?
He was 24 years old.
Okay.
He was 24 years old at this time. And it is alleged that an hour into the transportation from Greensboro, North Carolina to Sumter, South Carolina, when they got to Columbia, South Carolina, Leroy Blanding Jr. grabbed pepper spray from the officer riding in the back seat with him, sprayed that officer, sprayed the officer driving. The officer pulled over. Leroy Blanding Jr. allegedly got out the car, ran across the street, and ran into some woods, and allegedly found 30 minutes later dead, face down with his hands and feet still shackled. And keep in mind that he had his handcuffs were connected to a belly chain around his waist, and he was shackled around the ankles. So alleged cause of death, a heart attack. So at 24 years old, the medical examiner said he died of a heart attack. We know there's many loopholes to this story, and all we want to know is exactly what happened to him, because we know that the investigation that Richland County Sheriff Department did was not accurate. So we're asking for a full investigation to reopen the case. And I'll give you guys some information on who to contact to see if we can get the case reopened.
So now he escapes from the backseat of the police car. Now, was he wanted for like triple murder or something like that?
No, he was arrested for violation of probation. That's what he was arrested for. So no murder charges, no armed robbery charges, or anything like that.
So is he known to be like a really tough guy?
He did do time for armed robbery. He did his time for armed robbery. He was out. But at that time, the only thing the warrant was for probation of violation of probation. That's what the warrant was for.
But to beat up two policemen?
Well, they didn't say beat him up. They said they sprayed him and got away. So I don't understand how someone that's handcuffed and shackled with handcuffs connected to a belly chain while in transportation from across state line can escape from two officers in a car.
And normally in a police car, you can't open the door from the inside. You have to open the door from the outside just to prevent something like that from happening. So how do you do that?
Yeah, so in the police report, they said that they was driving a regular vehicle.
They weren't driving
They wasn't driving a police vehicle. That's what the report says.
This is how my brother was transported. He had handcuffs on. Handcuffs were connected to a belly chain around his waist. Okay? Reach out for me, please, if you don't mind. Okay? I just need y'all to see how far he could reach with handcuffs on that's connected to a belly chain. Then he had shackles around his ankles. Okay, can you walk? Take a couple of steps for me, please. I just want them to see how far you can step.
We've been fighting for answers for 20 years. We just recently were able to identify one of the officers. So we really want him to come forward with what he knows, because I know you know what happened. And I don't think it's fair for my nephew to have had to grow up without his dad.
So It doesn't. So this is 20 years ago, and it seems like it still weighs heavily on you.
He took everything from me. They don't understand when they kill these innocent black people, what they do to the families. Like it's forever. Like my nephew's 22, and we still don't know what happened to his dad. That's not right. It's not right. It still hurts. Like the pain never goes away.
You basically want the truth.
That's all we want is the truth. What happened to him, and I know the officer knows what happened.
So, what efforts have you been able to make so far to try and find out? Nothing.
They won't say anything. They don't want to open up the case because they know something's wrong. They know that's impossible for an inmate to escape from two officers while handcuffed and shackled, while in a moving vehicle. It just doesn't make sense. And then at 24 to die of a heart attack. But see, the only thing is, back then they didn't have cell phones, so nobody recorded the incident. But nothing makes sense. Nothing about the incident makes sense. So we just want answers. We want answers. The officer, William Sumter, he knows what happened to my brother. He knows, and we want answers. Tell us what happened. That's it.
Okay, so tell us who we can reach out to.
Reach out to Attorney General Alan Wilson. Demand he reinvestigate the case. His phone number is 803-734-3970. Or you could reach him on Twitter and just demand that he investigate the case of Leroy Blanding Jr.
They can stay in touch with you in terms of any progress you're making by doing what?
They could go to Justice for Leroy Blanding at Instagram, or Justice for Leroy Turbo Blanding on Facebook. And they can contact me there. Or I started a nonprofit organization to help bridge the gap between youth and police officers. And they can go to my website at teachersforjustice.org, and that's the number 4, or find us on Instagram or Facebook at Teachers for Justice.
I'm a teacher here in Orlando, and it breaks my heart when I have to sit in my classroom and my students walk in and say, "Hey, Miss Blanding, did you see such and such on the news? The police officer shot him in the back." That's why I don't trust the police. What is going on in America that our students, middle school and high school students, don't trust the police? What are we doing in this country? What do I tell my students? What do I tell them? When they come to me and say, "That's why I don't trust the police," should I tell them to trust them? So what do I say? So it's time, principals, teachers, school board members, activists, we need to sit down at the table and come up with how we are going to protect our students. Because if they don't trust the police when they're teenagers, they're going to become adults and don't trust the police.
I'm here to tell you today, my family vows to never stop searching for answers. Because there is no statute of limitation on murder.
Yes.
There is no statute of limitation on murder.
Let them know.
Yes, come on. So, if you guys can help me out, when I say his name, please say Leroy Blanding. Say his name.
Leroy Blanding.
Say his name.